In the quiet suburbs of Oregon, peace comes in the shape of simple routines. Every morning, Daniel Morris watered his plants, waved to neighbors, and drove to work at exactly 8:15 a.m. He paid rent on time, never raised his voice, and always greeted the landlord with a gentle smile. To everyone around, Daniel was the perfect tenant, polite, respectful, invisible. But perfection often hides something else, something no one sees until it's too late. This is the story of how a calm man in a quiet neighborhood turned into the center of one of Oregon's strangest investigations. It started with silence. For 3 days, Daniel didn't respond to calls or messages, his mailbox filled with unopened letters. The landlord, at first, thought little of it, but when the rent didn't arrive for the first time in 4 years, unease began to grow. Inside the house, everything was neat, too neat. No signs of a struggle, no sign of life. A half-empty coffee mug sat by the window. The room smelled faintly of cleaning supplies. Something felt wrong, but no one could say what. It was as if Daniel had simply vanished, without a trace. Curiosity turned to concern. The landlord decided to run a small background check. Daniel's social security number didn't match any active record in the national system. His driver's license photo looked slightly off, like it had been altered. The address he had written on his rental form belonged to a house that had burned down years ago. Now alarmed, the landlord called the local police. What began as a missing tenant report would soon unravel into something far darker, a story that would stretch across state lines and span more than a decade of deceit. Detective Laura Hayes was the first to visit Daniel's house. At first glance, nothing seemed out of place. No forced entry, no chaos, just eerie normalcy. But when her team searched the small storage room, they found multiple expired IDs, all with Daniel's photo, but different names. Driver's licenses, library cards, even work badges, each one belonging to a different identity in a different state. The house that once felt peaceful now carried a strange chill. Who was Daniel Morris, and what was he running from? As detectives dug deeper, fingerprints revealed a name, Adam Lewis. A name connected to an old missing person case in Montana, 12 years earlier. Further tests linked him to another identity, Thomas Reed, wanted for questioning in a disappearance in Idaho. The pattern was undeniable. Every time suspicion arose, he moved, changed his name, and started over. Each life was carefully built, then quietly erased. Daniel, or Adam, or Thomas, had perfected the art of becoming no one. Soon, detectives began connecting him to 3 unsolved cases, 3 women who had gone missing between 2012 and 2018. Each one knew him under a different name. Each one disappeared shortly after he left town. Family members described him as kind, intelligent, a man who listened. Their stories shared a haunting similarity: trust followed by silence. The evidence wasn't enough for conviction, but the pattern spoke louder than words. The perfect tenant was no stranger to vanishing acts. Months later, a break in the case came unexpectedly. A storage unit in a nearby town, rented under another alias, was discovered during a property audit. Inside were boxes filled with journals, photos, and old IDs, notes describing routines, favorite places,
even fears of the people he once lived near. Each entry read like a diary of someone watching, studying, waiting. Among the clutter was a small photo of his Oregon landlord, proof that the next chapter of his deception was already being written.
He was finally found 200 miles away, driving a rusted blue pickup truck under yet another false name. When the officer pulled him over, Daniel didn't resist. He smiled softly, hands visible on the steering wheel. His tone was calm, his words measured. "Guess you finally found me," he said quietly. It wasn't the voice of panic. It was the voice of someone who had already accepted what came next. Inside the truck, police found a single suitcase containing a clean shirt, a new ID, and a bus ticket to another state.
In the interrogation room, Daniel, or whatever his real name was, sat silently for hours. Finally, he spoke. "I never hurt anyone," he said. "I just wanted to disappear." Detectives listened as he described a life spent running from mistakes, reinventing himself every few years to feel safe. But his details contradicted known evidence. He knew things only the killer could know. His voice remained calm, almost peaceful, as if the truth didn't belong to him, but to the many lives he borrowed.
Months later, the Oregon house was rented again. New paint, new tenants, new laughter. But the landlord still looks at that porch every morning, the place where Daniel once stood, watering plants, pretending to be ordinary. The man who lived 3 lives will serve the rest of his in silence. And the town, once peaceful, now watches every friendly smile with quiet suspicion. Because evil doesn't always knock. Sometimes it pays rent on time. If you found this story compelling, subscribe for more true crime documentaries where real stories reveal the unseen lives around us.